So whenever you go to cremate a body, depending on how large you are, so I'm just going to let you know, the larger you are, the better you're going to smell. There was a gentleman at our crematory. I'm over there dropping off the bodies that are next in line to be cremated. The manager of the crematory is there. The crematory operator is there as well. We're checking in the bodies. We're catching up on some things. And all of a sudden, I'm just like a bloodhound. My nose goes up in the air and I just start sniffing the air. Our crematory is located next door to a cemetery. And so I'm sitting there and I'm talking to him and I'm talking to the crematory operator. I'm like, hey, is the cemetery crew next door barbecuing? And I'm like, whatever it is smells really, really good. I hadn't eaten at all this day. I am starving and I'm about to go sniff out this barbecue pit so I can steal a piece of chicken. And the crematory operator just looks at me. My manager's looking at me like I'm crazy. Crematory operator looks at me and she's like, hey, is it lemon pepper chicken? I'm like, yes. I am like drooling. I'm drooling right now just thinking about it. And drooling, I'm having to clear my mouth and my throat and everything like that. And the crematory operator's like, lemon pepper chicken. I'm like, yes, that's exactly what it is. She's like, oh, that's Mr. So-and-so in the retort. He has about another 2 hours. And I just look at her and I'm like,
chicken's done.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to be talking to some new friends of ours. They are funeral directors in this blatant ripoff of Hot Ones and Ask Me Anything. Hi, I'm Vicky and I'm joined today joined by that's not the right word.
Not joined by.
Not joined to.
Not joined to.
There we go.
Joined how? I'm joined by Lorin and Michael, and they're going to be asking questions alongside me. And we're talking to Stephen and Kim. Hi, y'all.
Hello.
Hi.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Are y'all excited or terrified?
Both.
Yay!
I'm excited.
You're what?
I'm excited.
Good.
I'm excited.
Very.
As you can probably tell with my accent.
I think let's start it off with Lauren's. Lorin, you got a question?
Certainly.
Oh, we started off with wings first, right?
Okay. Yeah. We gotta start with wing and a sauce. Come on, Vicky.
I know. The first one is garlic Fresno, heat level mild.
Mild.
Oh,
To show you that I actually am participating.
nice.
That's good.
I like it too.
Oh. That one's mild.
Ooh, that's tasty.
I like it.
Is scent an issue? And the follow-up is, are random body effluvia something a person can get used to?
Scents like the smell?
Mm-hmm.
It's not bad unless somebody died out in a cornfield for 2 weeks in the middle of August and then come into our care. Then it's a little bad. And then what was the follow-up?
Yeah, random body effluvia. So like gases and liquids and.
Oh, it's very fun whenever you're trying to get them dressed and they purge all of your nice, clean, pressed white shirt. And so just like the left side of your body is just red. It's nice.
Or if during a ceremony, they happen to come up to you and say, hey, something doesn't look right with a loved one. Do you think you can fix it? And you go and check it out, and there's some fluid either from the eyes or from the nose. It really just depends on how they died or the condition that they were in. And if we were able to chemically address that issue. Because sometimes you're not. I mean, we try to do what we can, but there's just some things that are inevitable.
Yeah. I'm just going to let you know, the larger that you are, the more you're going to purge.
Because
It's
you have
one
more
way
to
to put
purge.
Do it.
Because you have more to purge.
Yeah, you retain more of your liquids and fluids in your body.
Ooh.
And as they're laying down, a lot of the weight, especially around the abdomen, is kind of pushing down on them. And so all that movement has to go somewhere since there's no circulation, there's no pressure anymore. It wants to go somewhere. And most of the time it's up towards the head. Mhm.
With all of that in mind, we'll go to the next one. The next one is hell yeah, I'm hot. Number 2.
Please tell me it's the liquidy one.
Yes, it's the very liquidy one.
Okay.
It should smell very fruity.
It does smell very fruity.
Oh, I like this one too. Good.
Not bad, it's mine.
Uh-huh.
I'll
It's a
ship
little
it to
bit
you,
spicier
Vicky.
than the last one. What's the most interesting death that occurred to a person you mortified? And was it anything worthy of a Darwin Award?
Oh my god, I really have to think. Because there are so many.
Noteworthy deaths. I mean, there was the one where a guy jumped from a skyscraper in Dallas, had to reconstruct the face. There was the one where the person got hit by a train, had to suture the head back on.
There was one
Ah.
where there was an affair. The husband found out and he wasn't too happy about it.
Oh, that's
And
sad.
he had 2 knives. And you can imagine what had happened to the wife at that point. There was one where a gentleman had was locked in like this giant oven type thing. There was a lot of heat, and I can't remember what exactly what exactly the profession was, but he was basically baked alive, and the family really wanted to see him because he had stayed alive in that condition for about a week, intubated and things like that. But I mean, once we opened that bag, it was just he it did not look like a person. It just looked like it was a mannequin that was painted
Soup.
matte black.
And there's
Essentially.
no way, like they can't hear your recommendation for a closed casket.
So there have been cases where either loved ones had been found after maybe 7 or 10 days. There is actually one that I won't give too many details, but she preferred to have her Saturdays and Sundays by herself. She didn't want calls, she didn't want visitors, nothing. She also wasn't very fond of doctors or dentists. So, no medical record, nothing. And come Monday, no one had heard from her. And so when they went to check back, it turned out that she had passed away on a Friday night. It was also summer and she did not have AC. And they were adamant about seeing that particular person. So we try to tell them, like, I really don't recommend it, but at the same time, we don't exactly have the right to deny that to someone, especially if they're an immediate next of kin. So we'll try to definitely tell you, forewarn you, sign off on documents saying that I told you exactly what you were going to see and smell. And after that point, it's entirely up to them. And if they want to, if that's going to bring them closure, then, everyone's different and we just have to respect that.
Austin's shawarma.
What is that?
It's an orange one, number 3.
Oh, hot sauce. I
Yeah,
thought it was
yeah.
the question.
No, no.
Oh, you're like, I don't know the answer to this.
I like that one.
It tastes orange.
Mm-hmm. Real citrusy. Tastes good.
Oh,
Yeah, that would definitely be good on like an Eero or something like that.
Michael, you're up.
Okay. So my question is, what's your most thank God nobody saw that moment from work?
Who do you want to answer first?
That's yours, Steven.
Mine. My first one has to be I am doing a flower run, meaning I'm taking the flowers from a funeral home to or a church to the cemetery. Nobody's there, thank God. Step up to the grave, and I immediately sink to my knees in the mud. The second one was where I am out in the boonies, like where I grew up, no cell phone reception. The nearest town is 30 miles away. And the hearse driver, the coach driver, locked the keys in the car, in the coach, with the body in the back of it. And usually on the coaches, there's a button on the back under the license plate that will release the back door. For some reason, they decided to send me out in the only hearse that did not have a spare key and did not have the button. So I had to stand on one leg, call AAA, or call my manager first, who then called AAA, wait 3 hours just to get the body out of the back of the hearse.
There was a certain person that came into our care, and I think it was about an hour before the family was expected to arrive to see them. And I don't know if it was a condition that they were in or what was going on, but I basically had to undress, hand wash, blow dry clothes, redress, and place them back in so that they wouldn't notice like the things that were going on with them. And it was so stressful because we tried to do it within an hour. There was another time where there was a stain on these pants, and I got it out, and then I blow dried it, but I don't know if it was the fabric or something, but it burned a hole. So I had to improvise another way to make sure that they did not see it, and they were like waiting right outside of the door. And I mean, we're not miracle workers, but I feel like sometimes we have to be,
Oh,
just
we
to
are
make
fucking
sure
miracle workers.
just to make sure that they never feel the stress or see what we see, just so that they can get like a good final picture.
And
Just
not
see-
come after us for mental anguish.
I know.
Humble House, Habanero, and Aja. It's AJI. Does anybody know how to pronounce that?
Ahi?
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 Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Hawaiian or something.
Oh, nice. Heat level is mild.
I think I may have actually had this before sometime in the distant past.
That is good.
Mhm.
There's a lot of real good ones in this one.
It's a little sweet. I'm kind of scared.
Why?
Maybe it'll sneak up on you.
Exactly.
I don't think so. It's
Maybe
not.
he's not used to sweet.
That's the truth.
I think it's my turn, isn't it, for the
Mhm.
question?
Yep.
Oh, yes. Have you ever eaten a meal or a snack in the presence of a corpse? And the follow-up is, do you have any food aversions due to work?
Oh no.
Ooh, that's a good one.
No, I
Yes.
think if you can do preparations with someone who has been passed for several days and found in that condition, but you can still leave and go eat a steak or something like that, then you know that you're good for the job. But I haven't had any food that I can't eat, and I'll still be hungry even after seeing certain conditions or states that loved ones can be in. And if I have ever eaten something, it was because I had to pop in and make sure that our assistants were doing okay because they wanted feedback, and I had like something in my hand and I was like eating. I was like, yeah, that's good, keep doing that, and then like I left. That was about it. There's certain places that you don't want to eat food in a funeral home, but if it's
Yeah.
like in a chapel or somewhere where the public usually is, I mean, I think you're fine. Have I
Yeah,
seen
but
people eat in those certain places? Yes, I have. Would I? Absolutely not. No way.
This next wing is the fifth wing. It's
Ooh.
bravado, pineapple, and habanero.
It smells good.
it does smell good.
Do you think you have an edge on surviving a zombie apocalypse because you're a funeral director?
Absolutely not. I'd be one of the first to die. I absolutely hate
Well,
zombies or the thought of zombies or zombie movies or anything scary. No. Count me out. Kill me, use me as bait, whatever. I'm just gonna hold you back if you keep me alive.
it depends on where I am whenever the outbreak comes. If I'm at work, I'm fucked. Because where I work is where, because we serve what, 11, 12 companies? Out of work, yeah, I drive a Subaru. I can barrel through them, no problem.
I
That
can do that with my Civic.
that or I can get Michael's little Toyota 3-door hatchback and barrel through them.
Take out
that
their
thing can
legs.
That's a fair point.
Number 6 is tattoo Polynesian sweet and spicy.
survive. You have that one.
Oh, it has the word tattoo in it.
That's a brand.
Oh.
Tattoos are so fun though.
They're great.
I need my next one.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a couple years.
Oh yeah. This says the heat level is hot. Oh, it hit the back of my throat. Uh, it's not bad.
Mm.
Kind of aggressive.
Flavor of that
Shit.
one.
I just dropped it.
Okay. So my question is, I forget who this goes to next, but arranging a funeral sounds like it can be a very business-like transaction with costs, planning, staff scheduling, and goals for the funeral home. How do you maintain the emotional and spiritual connection of this as a ceremony of final farewell for both yourself as a funeral director and the family?
I don't want to use the word facade because that's not what it is, but you have to kind of put yourself, how do I word it? You're you, but you're not you. You're like a professional version of yourself where you're switching out certain terms for more delicate or more emotional terms. Like I avoid the word rental casket because that is a thing. I call it a ceremonial casket. I don't use things like hearse. I use things like funeral vehicle. And I try to sympathize with the family. While I'm there with them, I'll kind of try to match their energy. If they're more hostile, then I'll be more like direct to the point, get them in, get them out, take care of what their concerns are. If they want to sit there and tell me stories, then I'll actively listen and I'll try to pitch in when I can. And there are times where you have very difficult, very needy families, but you just have to sit there, put on a straight face, and at least try to sympathize with them and understand where they're coming from and try to give advice when you can. But when you're behind closed doors, when you come home, that's the time where you can, say what you really want to say or feel how you really want to feel. But while you're in front of someone, who's lost their mom. I mean, sure, Stephen and I have seen that multiple times over and over again, and to us, it can feel exhausting. But we always try to remember, like, that's the first time that they're losing their mom or their dad, or God forbid, their spouse or their child at a very young age. So, to me personally, it's exhausting, but as long as they're okay and they're comfortable, and I don't like seeing it as a business transaction, and our boss can hate me for that all she wants for not upselling or whatever, but I just don't think that it's an appropriate time to try to push something that they're not feeling. So if they want the absolute like bottom line lowest thing because that's what they can afford and they're happy with it, I'll do it. I really don't mind. If I can give away something for free that I know won't hurt us in the long run, I'll do it. I really don't care. And then they can yell at me or do whatever or have an intervention with me, whatever. And then I'll wait till I get home and then I'll drown my sorrows with some sangria, like I usually do.
Yeah, and I'm in the same boat as Kim. I basically, the hardest part for me is I read the room, and I can't explain how I read the room. I just basically tune in with the how the family is feeling. Like my hardest one that I can't get through, I still to this day after 5 years, I have to excuse myself, is if they have somebody under the age of 16 that passed away. Like I have to stop in the middle of the arrangements, step out of the room, and go wipe my tears because I cry with the family. But it's one of those, like Kim, I don't upsell. I can't upsell. Like I will go over everything, but I'm not going to force you to buy it, especially with my location because I am a predominantly my location is predominantly pre-arrangements from the 80s. So their families have come in, they've pre-arranged all this stuff. They don't want the videos, they don't want catering, which that's something that's very forced upon ourselves. Like I'll mention it, and then even if we have like what we call at need arrangements where the family has no pre-arrangements and we sell them a package, it has the catering in it, then I'm just like, okay, here's the catering, here's your options, this is what it is. I don't like selling the catering because it's only for 25 people and it's only desserts. But their thing is, you're supposed to upsell past the desserts. I can't do that. I am not a car salesman.
That's what I don't want to come across as. That's what I don't want to make them feel like they have to, or else they're not
Exactly.
giving their mom, dad, or family member a good funeral. Like you don't need all the bells and whistles to have a good one. You can have a simple graveside service. We can all meet there. And it could be like a nice sunny day with some nice weather. And honestly, that's all you need for some closure. But
Exactly.
This is the Dobo Loco, right?
Yeah,
that
adobo
has
loco, medium heat. This is medium.
this is medium.
It didn't have a Scoville scale.
No.
That has a lot more kick and less pleasant. I'll say that much.
I think it gets worse. Lauren, you're up, right?
Oh, yes.
I like it.
Oh, that is immediate.
Yeah.
This is me.
Yeah, my lips are numb, so I may enunciate bad, but
Oh my god.
what is the weirdest situation / happening you've ever encountered in the course of your job? And just as a follow-up, I know this is silly, but have you ever personally witnessed someone like jumping and screaming into the grave, like in histrionics?
They jumped in, but it wasn't on purpose. It was on accident. And it was to the tune of I can only imagine. And the whole family was watching.
The whole family was
Because this
watching.
poor gentleman from the cemetery was. Yes, I'm tearing up. And that's because of the sauce. Oh my god.
Oh my god, that is hot.
So they had to stand.
Hitting really
They had
hard.
to stand a couple feet away
Don't touch your eyes.
by the tree. They had to stand a couple feet away by the tree, and we had to lower into the space. But they didn't properly mark where it was, and all they had was this flimsy piece of plywood covering the hole. And the poor gentleman, who is already large, no offense to him, took a single step. And if you've ever seen Family Guy, they have this really exaggerated system where if anyone falls, it's like this high level of gravity. And he literally fell, and it turns out that the hole was like 9 or 10 feet deep. And Tim McGraw was singing I Can Only Imagine throughout the whole time. And this poor gentleman was able to hold himself up because a piece of plywood somehow wedged himself in the hole. And he was just sitting there looking at me, like panicked. And he was straining, and I couldn't do anything because I can't lift the guy because I'm only 4'11" and I have spaghetti arms. So then 2 guys from the family had to come forward and try to help him pull him out. Oh my god!
Oh my God! Guys,
I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do except just stand there and look at him like, dude, you're gonna join her. You're gonna die with her.
Oh my God! Wow.
This one is getting worse.
It is. It is.
Okay, I'm fine now. No, I'm not fine. Oh my god.
Guy died. Wife had no money. Young guy, about our age. Wife had no money. So the parents came in and made the arrangements. And what they ended up doing is the wife had to sign away her rights because in the state of Texas, she's the legal next of kin. She got so pissed that she had to sign away her rights that she came up to the director. I wasn't even directing. I was just what we call an attendant. Came up to the director demanding that we cut his heart out and cremate it and give it to her.
Holy cow.
Which we won't do. We also
my
don't
God.
remove gold teeth. So if your grandma or grandpa had a special gold tooth that for some reason is very special to you, you have to get a dentist to remove it because I will not do it. I am not a dentist and I cannot remove teeth.
And plus,
Are grills okay?
What?
Are grills okay?
Grills, as long as they're not literally attached to them, maybe. Maybe.
Scared.
Oh, be scared.
Oh, it's thick.
8 is Thor's hammer.
Huh.
Heat level extreme, Scoville 121,000.
Wait, how do we go from medium to extreme?
Well, you know what? I don't know. No, I mean, number 6 was leveled hot, but.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
No. Let's do it.
Mm.
Tomorrow's gonna be fun.
That doesn't taste good, and that's how you know it's gonna be hot.
What do your family and friends think of your job or significant others? And they asked, I read some articles claiming morticians get looked down upon by everyday people. Have you ever had this experience when telling somebody about your profession?
They all kind of look at me like, oh, that's nice. I also have a grandma who's in Mexico who cries whenever my mom talks to her about my job because she hates it. I'm the first one in my family to do it. And at first they weren't too happy. And to be honest, if there's anyone that is considering doing it and you're married and you have kids, think again, and you should probably choose something else because you'll hardly ever be home. My spouse is supportive, but there are times where it's really hard because I'm not home and I get home late and I basically eat whatever dinner was made and I go to sleep and then I wake up and I go back and I work another 10 or 12 hours and I just do it over again.
Same. Luckily, whenever I met my husband, I was actually going for education. I wanted to teach. But then I decided I hate the little shit, so I decided to switch over to mortuary science.
You did tell me right when we started dating that you were interested in being a funeral director.
And I almost became a
But-
nurse.
Yeah, but like Kim, I am the first in my family to do this. My family doesn't have a problem with it. They support me. The reaction, I do get reactions mainly because of like you touch dead bodies whenever I explain what I'm doing.
So you're gross and you're full of germs.
Yeah. So like whenever I went to boot camp, I had one RDC, which is like one of our leaders, that freaked out whenever she found out that I was a funeral director. But a lot of people, whenever I say that, are very interesting and they want to know like the horror stories, the ghost stories, if our funeral home is haunted, if I've seen anything. That's basically it.
Yeah, sometimes. Oh, sorry.
Like for sure a little.
Yeah. I keep bringing shit home, and there's one that likes to live in. Whenever we first moved in together, the second time whenever we first moved in together, there was one that lived in our oven.
Oh god, that oven! I swear to God, it made the weirdest noises. It was for sure haunted.
When I lived with my mother-in-law, back when she was my soon-to-be mother-in-law, um, I'm pretty sure I took things home because, and it was only whenever I was alone that things would happen to me. Like my hair would get pulled, or I would feel someone like huff like into my face, but no one was there. Or if I was playing music in our room, I would step out and the music would be like slowly lowered or slowly raised. And when I came back in, no one did any, like it wasn't touched. I would hear footsteps, but there was no one there. And I knew that I was by myself. But ever since I left there and I moved to my own home, I haven't had anything happen, thank God.
So it was your mother-in-law that's
But
haunted.
at the yeah, probably. But nothing ever happened to them. It was only me. It was stupid. But the particular funeral home that I'm at right now is old, and I hate being there by myself at night or even in the mornings because I always hear either singing, I smell random perfume, and no one sprayed perfume, and I haven't sprayed perfume, and I'm the only one there. Or we all have the same phone system, so if anyone is using one of the phones, there's a little red bulb that lights up, and a random one will light up, and then it'll just go off, and mm-mm, mm-mm.
Yeah. And then I used to work at her location. It was the second funeral home that I worked at whenever I first started in the business. And so they have 3 chapels. And on one side of the funeral home, there's 2 chapels, and then on the other side of the funeral home, there's what we call a large chapel that can seat about 250 people. After dark, like once the family has left and we shut off the lights over there on the large side, there's a door that we close in the hallway. After that, I refuse to go past that door. Because there was one time that I went over there to turn on a light in the chapel because we're supposed to leave 3 lamps on whenever there's a deceased, a loved one in the chapel. We forgot to leave the lights on, so I went over there to turn them on. But as I walked down the hallway, I saw a little blonde girl, short, very short, shorter than 4'11", in a pink and white checkered pinafore dress run around the corner. And my white ass just turned around and walked right back out. There is another location that is associated with Kim that I refuse to be in there by myself. I will not go into this funeral home by myself. There has to be another person,
Wants to.
or I have to be on the phone with somebody. Like you walk in, it's set up like her main location, 3 chapels. You walk into the large chapel at that location, and you can just feel like demonic, like somebody wants to kill you.
And that particular funeral home has seen some very bad people, very bad cases in the past, and has serviced them. And I think they kind of just lingered. And no one likes to be there by themselves at all.
Y'all, I have some bad news.
We have to go to number 9.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Number 9 is the torch garlic reaper.
Well, at least there's garlic in it.
And that is not a fact.
Oh.
Who's asking the question?
Okay.
I think it's going to be Michael's question.
Alrighty, let's do that.
It tastes like nail polish.
Oh god, here we go. I can feel it.
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh, shh.
Oh no.
Okay.
Ugh.
What
Ugh.
do you wish the industry / laws would make in order to create a better end-of-life experience for families?
Repeat that.
What improvements do you wish the industry or funeral laws would make in order to create a better end-of-life experience for families?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Don't have the fucking director remain at the graveside until the end is done.
Well, there's certain funeral homes that will not be named that have regular people stay behind and make sure that everything is finalized with the cemetery. And I don't see them getting in trouble
Well, that's also
for other
because
things.
true, but that's also because the Texas Funerals Commission states that only an employee of the funeral home must remain at the graveside until the first load of earth goes in.
I do think that the attorney general of a certain state that we live in should make sure that we honor people's prearrangements and not switch them from something that they paid thousands of dollars for and suddenly have the family come back and say, oh, we're going to do the cheapest thing possible and cash out on everything that they paid for. Because I personally don't think that that's fair to the deceased.
It's not. It's not. And it's one of those, like, they stopped doing that specifically because, like, back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, families were coming in and they were at the time planning for $5,000 funerals, which was top of the line. And then what would happen is whenever that person died, the family would come in and like, oh no, we just want the $500 cremation. So they would actually get all of that money back minus what the cost of the cremation was.
And the main reason I say this is because there was a case that Stephen and I were both present for. No one had passed away yet, but one of the family members was taking care of their special needs family member. Their parents had already passed years ago, and their parents had prearranged a funeral for them, full-blown visitation, casket, funeral service, everything. And she was in there saying, no, he has no friends, no one knows him. We're just going to do a direct cremation and I'm going to get all that money back. Because he doesn't need all that. And we were just there like, that's not fair.
Not
like
how it works.
His parents planned this whole service for him to honor him. And you're going to come in here and try to switch it to something where he's not going to get anything. Like, luckily at that time, that wasn't allowed. That wasn't permitted because she was not the one that made or bought those arrangements for him in advance. It was someone else. They were already deceased. The only people that can change it were the people that signed that contract. And if they were already deceased, no one else can change it. It was basically set in stone. But recently, the laws changed to where you can change it if it doesn't specify if you wanted a burial or a cremation. So now there's like this loophole that people can go through, and it's, to me, it's not fair. Like, I don't care about getting paid. It's just the fact that they spent all this money, they made these monthly payments for X amount of years, and then you're just going to cheat them out of that and get that money back.
But I can also see because of COVID, I'm allowing it. I'm not fighting against it as much as I would have.
Our last one, number 10. What is this? Exorcisco? 7 Pop Primo? What?
Is it exorcism or?
No. EXHORRESCO.
Oh God, I don't know.
I'm too wild to pronounce that.
Seven pot Primo. This one. So the last one had a Scoville of 116. This one has a Scoville of 625. So this one is
625.
yeah. So this one's really, 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 really hot. Okay.
Right, I'm already feeling like the past 4 in my stomach.
Should I grab some ranch to be on the safe side?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it
Ah.
also tastes like nail polish.
Yeah.
My tongue's dead, so I can't taste anything.
Oh no. Oh no.
Who's answering, or who's asking?
I am. Okay. Oh Jesus. Are there any old, obsolete, or interesting burial customs that you wish were practiced here, or you would like to practice?
Postmodern photography.
That's a good one. At home funerals. I think
I would
that'd
love
be
to do an
cool.
at-home funeral.
Mm-hmm. We had someone actually do that,
Oh.
but they had
I
like
know, I was jealous.
a whole like X amount of acre property, and because of COVID, we have restrictions in place. But if you take your loved one and you take them home, at that point it's up to you whatever restrictions, if any, you want to implement. So they were able to have the whole family, they had a mariachis, they had a whole cookout. They fed the staff that was there watching over the deceased, so I thought that was pretty cool. I hope no one got sick, but I think I would love to do something like that. There was one where there was a burial or a cremation. I think it was a cremation, and they had wanted a Viking funeral for their young child who was really interested in that. So what they did was they got a flammable urn and a wreath, a flower wreath. They went out to a lake a couple miles up north, and they basically they called the fire department in advance. They only got like 7 or 8 calls reporting it, but they lit the urn on fire and released the floral arrangement, and they just watched it just drift into the lake and out of view, and they had like this whole cookout and gathering and things like that. So that was pretty cool.
I want to thank y'all both for talking about your job and sharing your thoughts and how much you care about the things you do.
Bless you.
God
Thank you.
bless. Did you want to say anything else that you think people should know or would like to say?
Just because you make prearrangements, it doesn't mean that they're set in stone.
That's
Your
terrifying.
family members can still change things. And if there is a certain family member that you don't trust, then you should definitely have an agent of disposition in place to make sure that any quarrels or fights that happen between your children don't come in the way of your desired funeral service, because I have seen cases where there are children that don't agree with each other. One group wants cremation, the other group wants burial, and just because we get word that one of the children doesn't want to do a certain something, we have to stop everything altogether. Either that or you have to go somewhere else, because we're not going to be responsible if we cremate someone and then someone comes back and tries to pursue legal action, because cremation is permanent, whereas burial, it's technically temporary, because you can always take someone out and then cremate them or place them somewhere else or something like that. So if your kids have an issue with one another, then you better make sure that you designate in legal writing someone that is responsible for your funeral service that will carry out specifically what you want. If they're not their kids, someone that you trust, or as long as you have it just with one person, the less hands that are in the pot, the better, to be honest. And just because you have prearrangements for a burial doesn't mean that you can always change it for cremation at the last minute. Always make sure that you talk to the funeral home if you want to make any kind of changes while you're still alive and of sound mind. That's all I have to say about that.
Power of attorney expires when the person dies.
That's another good one. Power of attorney, even if it's durable, does not guarantee that you have the right of someone
control
over
the
someone's
situation.
body when they pass away. Power of attorney, durable power of attorney, any kind of power of attorney will expire when someone passes away. So if you're fighting with your two other siblings and you say, "Well, I have power of attorney," we basically take that piece of paper and we throw it in the trash because it means absolutely nothing.
And I've done that before. Like, I have had a woman throw her power of attorney at me, and I've just picked it up and ripped it in half and thrown it behind me. And I'm like, okay, what do you want to do now?
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, did y'all hear that? My body is
Yeah.
like making weird sounds now.
Yes. My stomach is not happy
yeah, my
with
stomach's
me.
a little unhappy right now.
Bye.
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 Thank you.